So for today's problem, well, we have a lot of problems, but we can't get into that. So for our first example, we will be using the equation x squared minus 6x plus 8, and then we will set it equal to 0, because that is what we do with this. Next, so for factoring, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to multiply this first coefficient with this one. So 1 times 8 is obviously 8, and then we have to find something that multiplies to 8 that also adds to negative 6. So, in this example, that would end up being negative 4 and negative 2. And so what we do is we go and say x minus 4 times x minus 2. And then what we do after that, now that we've found that, is we set each of them equal to 0. So we have x minus 4 equals 0, and x minus 2 equals 0. We'll start with this one. So what we do is we add 4 to each side, so then we end up with x equals 4. And then for this one, we add 2 to each side, so all of a sudden it's x equals 2. So for our answers, we can write it as x equals the set of 4 or 2.
So the second method is completing the square, and we're going to do the same problem, which is x squared minus 6x plus 8 equals 0. And first we're going to write x squared minus 6, and we're going to leave a little blank, plus 8 equals 0. And then we're going to take negative 6 and we're going to times it by 1/2, which gives us negative 3, which we're going to square to get 9. And 9 is going to go right there. And to cancel it out, we're also going to put negative 9. So let's just rewrite it. Okay, and then after that, we're going to factor. So we're going to get x minus 3, x minus 3. So after we factored, we're going to subtract 8 minus 9, which is negative 1, equals 0. And then we're going to move the negative 1 to the other side, which will be 1. So we are left with x minus 3 squared equals 1. And to get out the squared, we need to take the square root of both sides, which is going to just give us x minus 3 equals plus or minus 1. And here we're going to do x minus 3 equals 1. And here we're going to do x minus 3 equals negative 1. So move the 3. X equals 4, or x equals 2.
So for quadratic equations, we will start with a different equation, which will be x squared minus 3x minus 28 equals 0. And so for this one, we have this one equation. It's x equals minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac, which is over 2a. And so as we identify
The zoom.
Okay, so we find our a, b, and c right here. It's the coefficients of each of the different parts of the equation. So let's see, a equals 1 because there's nothing there. B equals negative 3, and then c equals negative 28. And so with that, we can then plug it into that equation, which then equals, so x equals, so it's minus negative 3, and it's plus or minus, as I forget that. So then it is, so negative 3 square root, because that's our b, so we're just pulling it in, minus 4 times what a is, so that's 1, times what c is, so that's negative 28. And that is all over 2 times whatever a is, which is 1 in this case, so that's easy. And then we solve this whole thing. So, we start off with x equals, so that just becomes 3, and it's plus or minus the square root of that. So, negative 3 times negative 3 is 9, minus 4 times negative 28, essentially, which our handy-dandy calculator says is negative 12. So it's... I'm just going to move that down, and we'll come back to that part now. So it's over 2. And so now we solve this part, and so 9 minus negative 12 is then the square root of 121. So we fill in the rest. Bye, calculator, turn off. And so we're lucky that we have that number because we know the square root of 121 is just 11, and so that makes it super easy. And so then, as we did earlier with that, we then take this, and so it's 3 plus or minus 11. So we have this, and then we solve for the two versions of x. So in this one, so 3 plus 11 is 14, which then over 2 is 7. So 14 over 2 is then x equals 7. And then for this one, 3 minus 11 is negative 8. And so negative 8 over 2 is then negative 4. And so we can write it x equals the set of 7 or negative 4.
Yes! No. Start over.
So for a quadratic...
I did. Nap. Okay. Go.